Welcome back, guys. Thanks for tuning in. This is Dana from Masterland Investing. I appreciate you guys' participation. If you guys are enjoying the videos, please subscribe. If you like it, please hit the like button as well. Once again, thank you guys so much for participating. I'm always asking, please submit questions. If there's anything you don't understand, I'd be happy to help you out. The more questions, the better it is for everybody, especially other people participating that may have the same question, just a little reluctant to ask a question. You can go ahead and submit it directly to me at dana@masterlandinvesting@yahoo.com, as well as you can go ahead and submit it on the YouTube channel. But once again, thank you guys for tuning in. I had a question recently from a young gentleman, just recently got married, has a child, young baby, and he's trying to absorb much as he can about the land investing business. For a little bit of time, he was convinced that tax certificate sales was the way to go starting out. So I wanted to create a video and kind of address that as a beginner land investor. You're limited on your cash funds. You're starting to acquire tools in your box about the land investing business, but you're not sure about what direction to go in. In the course I'm offering, there's a bunch of options that I teach as far as being diversified in the land investing business. But my advice would be, as far as the tax certificate sales go, that's an avenue that you're tying up money. You're usually bidding down in a lot of areas in the United States. Some of them they're a fixed rate, but most of the time you're bidding down from 18% down, and you're actually paying the debt that's owed on a tax on a particular year from a landowner. And then after 3 or 4 years, I think typically you can request to have it go to tax deed sale or foreclosure on the property. The problem is with that, you're tying up a lot of money. So you're working full time, you're getting into the land investing business, but you're taking cash that's limited and you're tying it up for an interest rate. Anywhere from, best case scenario, 18%, but I never hear that happen. Sometimes it's 3, 4, 5, 6%, generally 3 or 4. I've seen guys that invest millions at 2 and 3% on these tax certificates. So that would be not the best option I would suggest to start out with. Tax deed sales, similar. I teach a couple of things in the videos about different avenues, how to approach a tax deed sales. One is going online and going to a particular county and sitting through the sale. Obviously you want to identify the value of the deal, scrub your list, make sure you know what you're looking at, what your potential to invest is, have a limit, don't go above it, don't get caught in a bidding war. But once again, I don't think that's the best avenue to start out with, only because from my experience, and I've bought a handful of tax deed sale properties, there's a time period you have to wait to get a clear deed on that property. It's a tax deed, meaning that it's got issues on it still. There's a waiting period before you can go ahead and get a warranty deed on that. So once again, you're tying up money and you're having to wait a period of time, 2, 3, 4 years sometimes, to actually be able to legally sell the property to somebody, and then they can go ahead and turn and build on it. I've always said in these lessons and in these videos, you want to stay in control as much as you can. So there's a bunch of avenues, and as you get involved and get more tools in your box, just like owner financing, a great option, but I wouldn't recommend it out of the gate, only because you're going to have money tied up unless you're selling property and you're getting the downstroke on the down payment. It's covering your original cost, your buy cost, your closing cost, your title search cost, all that included, and then you can just create paper money. But it doesn't increase your cash on the table. So my advice to this gentleman, and it was brief because I'm a pretty busy guy and I wanted to answer the questions, but I figured I'd create a video, is start out small. Get your tools in your box, get some education. Don't continually think you need everything under the sun to start and never want to get in the game. My advice is go ahead and pick a farm area, do a little research, do your homework, pick a farm area. Once you've established the supply and demand in that particular area, pick an area that you can invest maybe a few $100s a pop, or maybe $1,000 or $2,000, depending on what your cash is, and start out small. Do some solicitations, however you chose to do it, however you've learned through the course that I'm offering or through some of the videos I've provided. or wherever you've got your information. Do some solicitation. Baby steps. I always preach that. I don't want you guys to start out get discouraged, and then in turn you can't get your money back. You've done 1 or 2 deals. Now your money's tied up. So start out in baby steps. Find something you can invest a few hundred, maybe $1,000. I made one video as reference to using your tax return money. It's an option. But if you start little and you establish that value of deal somewhere around 20, 25, 30, 35% of the retail market, don't get greedy. Don't do it on emotions. Don't put the property back out for sale and try to squeeze every bit of blood out of that stone. Be a smart land investor. Cash is king. You want to move your properties. If you establish the value's $3,000 and you invested $1,000, then put it out there at 25, 2,600, and like I've taught, entice that potential buyer. Find their emotional trigger and support it with a heading that's bold or information that pertains to something that might stimulate their want, their emotions. That's the key to this thing, and don't try to hold it for every last penny, because, you know, back in the day, I had a realtor tell me that was one of my mentors. I learned a ton from her, an older lady. She had done a ton of real estate investments, commercial, industrial, vacant land, bricks and mortar, residential, multi-units, wealth of information. And one thing she mentioned to me one time was, Dana, you should be selling the properties yourself and not using a realtor. Well, my view of that whole thing is, and I'm not greedy, in order to do the volume that I was doing at the time, it would have been impossible for me to cover all them bases, get signs out, deal with all those potential buyers. So I was willing to give up a piece of the pie. I was smart enough to know that if we squeeze the stone until we get every bit of water or blood out of it, it's going to put a cog in the flow of cash. So the key was to keep the price under market, keep the ball rolling, keep the sales coming, buys coming in, the sales going out, and the machine worked great. If you look back at the numbers when you do this, you can say, geez, I left some money on the table. But in essence, you're really not, because if you try, like I've preached, to delegate or not delegate anything and not use a supporting cast to build a team, what happens is your time is valuable and you only have so much time in a day. So my philosophy is give up a piece of the pie, use the people that will best serve your business going forward as a land investor, use your head, get your tools in your box, but don't hold property on emotions, don't buy in emotions, and don't get greedy. Start out baby steps. I want you guys to succeed, I truly do. I don't want you to get discouraged and say, geez, this is not for me. Because if you have the tools in your box, and you've done your homework, and you're patient, it's a wonderful business. If you follow the 4-phase real estate cycle, understand them, there's opportunity around every corner. You just need to know how to apply it. So going back to the question, where should a young investor start out with not a lot of capital? Start out with single family lots or small acreage, something that's affordable. Maybe do some delinquent tax lists from the county. This way you know the people motivated. Don't forget, when you proposition to buy that property from a potential seller that owes back taxes, you're going to have to cover those back taxes as well a lot of times, depending on how many years they're back. So do your numbers, be savvy about crunching the numbers and make sure where you're at as far as establishing the value. But there's many properties out there you can acquire for under $1,000 and turn around and make another $1,000. I mean, think about this. If you're buying at a tax certificate sale and you're making 5% on your money, and then and compare that to buying a property for $1,000, figured $1,000 out of pocket total. So you bought it for $750, got $250 invested in the closing, the paperwork, and blah blah blah. So you got a grand invested. You turn around and the market value is $2,500 retail on an average. The demand isn't high. You want to keep your cash going. You put it back in the market and you net another grand profit. So you get it for $1,000 out of pocket, and you sell it for $22 or $2,000, and you make roughly $1,000 on the deal before taxes. That's a phenomenal return. Remember that, guys. Don't get greedy. Start out in baby steps. You can stack those thousands, and once you turn it up, it's like anything in business. If you realize you spend $200 on something, and you can turn around and get a $4 return after cost, so you got 2 invested and you get 4 back, you've made $200 a deal. What you do from that is you perfect that formula, and then you do it in multiples. That's what I've always preached to everybody in business. Once you have a recipe, you know it works, multiply it. Don't get greedy and say, geez, it worked 25, I left 5 on the table. No, you didn't. You doubled your money, basically. So that's the lesson for today, guys. I hope it was informative. I want to address this young gentleman's question about where he should start. I want him to be successful as well as all you guys. So take notes. I'm going to continue to provide wonderful content for you guys. Continue to give me questions, send questions in, reach out to my email address. I love the questions because it gives me more stuff to work with and help you guys with some of the stuff you're not sure about. You're a little reluctant to pull the trigger. You're not getting the right information somewhere else. I'm going to provide you with the right information as much as possible. Like I said, if I don't have the answer and I'm getting the question more often than not, I'm going to get the answer and create a video for you guys to support that question and get you guys back on the right tracks. So thank you guys again for tuning in. I appreciate all your viewings. Please share this stuff if you think it's valuable content to other people. Once again, please subscribe. I love when you guys subscribe. It motivates me. It truly does. I want to teach you guys. I want to see a whole bunch of you guys out there succeeding. I'm going to be here for you guys all the time. Any questions, I'll support you. I'll create the videos like I said. So thanks again, guys. Go out there and inspire someone if you can. Have a great, wonderful day. Be generous in your life. Tell people you love them when you do. Keep it real. Thank you guys for tuning in. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.